Good evening. We'll call to order the Hawarden, Iowa City Council on Wednesday, February 27th, 2019 at 5:30 p.m. Travis, Department of Public Works, is coming back from Des Moines, I believe. Councilperson Jen and Councilperson Tim are both gone, so we have three folks tonight. If you wish to address the council and you're not on the agenda, council number 1C, please, for open business from the community. First of all is the 1A, approval of the February 13th, 2019 council meeting minutes, and you've had those in your packet, council members.
So moved.
Motion by Travis, seconded by Rob. Questions or clarifications? All in favor then of the February 13th, 2019 City Council meeting minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? It passes 3-0. Next, approval of our February 27th claims for payment. Questions, Rob, at all?
No questions.
Okay, John?
None, thanks.
Okay, Travis.
None, thank you. So moved.
Been a motion by Travis. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by John.
Mr. Mayor, before the vote, if I could just interject, claim number, check number 53407, we did pull today and avoided that one, so it will be approved without that claim.
What claim number was that, please?
Check number 53407 to Williams and Company.
Okay. Double billing or something like that happened?
Yeah, what happened was they sent a bill and then they sent another bill shortly thereafter. And so they both got combined on the one claim, and it was actually the same bill twice.
Okay.
So we voided the check and we'll submit it just for the one payment at the next meeting.
Very good. Thanks for catching that. There's been a motion by Travis and a second by John for the February 27th claim for payments. All in favor of their approval, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That passes 3-0. Open business from the community? Hearing none, we'll move on to the mayor's report for today. Chad Krebs has retired from the Hawarden Police Department, just short of 29 years of service. So that's a long-time employment person. We greatly appreciate his dedication to the city of Hawarden. He's made a lot of, in his journeys, he's talked with a lot of people and done a lot of good for our community and served us well in our police department. We wish him much happiness in his retirement there. My thanks and the council's thanks to the staff members for their work on the budget. It's always a more difficult time for doing the regular city work and then throw into budget time. So Jacob and Mike and Corey and the other staff members, Travis and the ladies that put the numbers together, everybody that works together, we thank you very much for that. And lastly, we've had great success with West Sioux Athletics here lately through the basketball program and the wrestling program, and we're really proud of what those young people have done and really proud of how they've represented our community. So we're blessed with a great group of kids up at the school. We thank their teachers and their administration, people that's Corey that serve on the school board, and we thank them for all their good works for us. We'll move on to staff reports, and we'll start with Jacob, please.
Between the last time and now, I've filled out the state budget form, assuming that everything looks good, and I am very well versed with how it works, so if there are changes, I'll be able to make them. I've been setting up some reviewing for daily processes for efficiency and just kind of making sure that the way we store data is correct and able to find it easily. So, and that is all I've been to report for now.
Okay, thank you very much. Mike DeBryan, City Administration.
As the mayor said, we do want to thank Chad Krebs for his nearly 29 years of service with the police department. Thanks to Travis, his retirement picture was put on Facebook Last I looked, it had like 120 messages and 275 likes. So Chad was liked and will be missed around here. So we continue to work with the engineers on the downtown redevelopment project, the wastewater treatment plant, and then the new power line coming into town. So we're looking forward to getting those projects started and going. We have opened up the applications, started accepting resumes for the economic development director position. So those wishing to apply can send their resume to the city of Hawarden to my attention. We're going to keep it open until we, can find that right person that we feel is going to fit well and do the best that they can for Hawarden. The 1995 ambulance, the third rig as we call it, has been sold. We had 3 bids on it. We took the highest bid. Its new home is down in Kansas City, Missouri. So they came up Saturday and got that. They came up the Saturday before to get it, but it wouldn't fit on their trailer. So they had to go back home and come back up. So that is gone.
Mike, in regard to the Economic Development Director, may a person find that information on the website?
That information is on our website along with the job description. If they have any difficulty navigating that, just call down here and we'll help them with it as well. But it's been posted on our website. It's posted on Facebook, Indeed. I seen the ad in our local paper, and I believe we're looking at maybe a couple of larger circulation papers to run that in here soon.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Pickner, anything from your point of view?
I don't have anything.
Glad to have you with us, even if you don't have anything to say. Corey, Chief of Police.
Currently, we are researching a couple different tools that we could utilize within the city. We wrote a grant for the city of Ireton here last year and were awarded a couple of radar speed signs that we had put on the county road coming into town. Have had a lot of good awareness and some proactive enforcement with those. I'm going to try to see if we can't find something similar and look at different funding options to bring something like that here into town as well. I think there's a couple places like 16th Street maybe that it would be utilized really well, maybe L Avenue, something like that. Our speed trailer is not functional at this point, so I'm just looking for different options and, have it solar powered and pretty much movable. If we needed to move it, we could do that as well, but that's currently what we're looking into, and also looking at some LED stop signs, kind of like the ones out at LG Everest, for different locations around as well. So we're just kind of doing surveys and looking at different intersections and different roadways or passages that may be having some issues. So other than that, had a few more snow removal parking tickets again, but the numbers are actually starting to decline, which is good. We don't like writing the tickets. We just ask you get them off the street so we can get the plows through.
Okay, thank you very much. Brings us back to the snow. The snow people have been working pretty hard on this.
They have been. They've been out scraping and plowing, and some of the roads are getting a little bit narrower than they used to be, but they've been working at them, trying to keep them open and keep them smooth.
Anything from council? Any council members like to make a comment before we move on to other agenda items? Okay. Hearing none, we'll move on to agenda item number 3, presentation by Robert Amon from Elderbridge.
Thank you.
That's all right. We can share. All right. Thanks, Rob. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You guys like to keep presenters on their toes, so to speak.
Ken. Jensen brought that in to me.
Oh, he did?
Yes. Yep.
You guys want me to step to the podium, or you want me to talk from here? Actually, we'd like you to be at the podium. That way, the public will be able to hear your presentation better, since we do tape this and put it on our
Hello.
agenda.
Okay, well, my name is Robert Ammon. I'm the Director of Healthy Aging Programs with Elderbridge Agency on Aging. I office out of Fort Dodge. With me is Sandy Iwan. She's out of our Spencer office. She coordinates the nutrition program for our Northwest counties. We cover 29 counties. She covers about 10 of them. The reason I'm here today, I'm here at the invitation of Mike. I'm here today to inform you what we're doing with the meal program and also to ask for a little help with the program. I started over with the seniors at the meal site. Let me just back up a second. We provide funding for the meals program here, both the dinner date and the Meals on Wheels. So we provide a good portion of the funds that they use to operate. Now, there are a lot of other things that go into it, like volunteer time. I know the site incurs a lot of expenses that we don't cover, but the bulk of the funding comes through our programming. And what we are doing is that we are looking for a partner here in Hawarden to operate the meal program for the seniors here. So essentially what we're looking to do is turn over the funding that we have for the meal program to a local entity. Now, whether that be a church, a service group like a Rotary or a Kiwanis, the senior citizens group, the city. We have cities that we contract with also. But we're looking for somebody to take over the funding and oversight for the meal program here in Hawarden. Okay? I started with the seniors. I approached them when we first started looking into doing this because they were the logical first step that they might be able to help us locate some people here in town that might be willing to take over the operation for the meal program. Okay, they had some conversation with Mike, I know, and Mike called me and had some conversation with me about it. And then he invited me here to talk with you all so you could be informed of what we're doing, what we're planning on doing, and also so that possibly you could help us find the partner that we're looking for. Now, why are we doing that? Currently, we provide direct service here in Hawarden and in quite a few other towns in this area. I visited today with Rock Valley and also with Rock Rapids. We're looking at moving this model to Sibley and also to Spencer. We've moved quite a few locations over to this model already prior to us merging with Northwest Aging. I don't know if that means anything to you, Northwest Aging, but there used to be a Northwest Aging area agency that covered this area, and they merged together with Elderbridge. Our model that we were running prior to that merger was that we subcontracted the funding for most of our programs, the meal site, case management, chore service, home health. We contracted most of that funding to local entities. And that's the preferred model because for me in my office in Fort Dodge, it's pretty tough for me to keep an eye on what's going on in 29 different counties. Okay? So, and in fact, for us to provide the direct service as we're doing now and in quite a few other locations, is we have to ask the state for a waiver to provide direct service because they want the money funneled into the local community to a local entity that has a better idea of what's happening here in Hawarden or in Rock Valley or in Rock Rapids. So when the initial merger happened with Northwest Aging, it was operated all under a direct service model. And at that time, what we decided was there was already enough uproar with our seniors for the change and the fact that Northwest Aging was going away, and we decided we would just leave that alone. We were just going to let things operate the way they were. Well, now we're a few years into it, and so we're going to try and move what was prior Northwest Aging meal sites, or dinner date, if you will, into a subcontracted model. Okay, so that's what we're looking for here in this community. I'm here to ask for your help in helping us find that partner. So essentially they would need to apply for our funding. And then if they were awarded the funding, they would become responsible for employing the site personnel, for paying the bills of the meal site, and in turn, then they request from us reimbursement for those expenses. Okay, so we cover most of the operating expenses, not all, but we need somebody locally here to take on that responsibility. Ideally, we would like to find somebody to take on that responsibility for the state fiscal year, which begins on July 1st. Now, if that doesn't happen on July 1st, if we don't have a partner on July 1st, are we going to go away and just say we're abandoning the meal program here? Absolutely not. And I've given a reassurance to the seniors that regardless of how long it takes, we're going to support the meal program. So we'll continue to run it in the manner that's being run if there's nobody that steps up to take it. But ultimately, our goal is to find somebody here in the community to take over that responsibility. For the funding, of course, there are strings attached. Our funding comes 40% from the federal government. About 40% of the revenue for the meal program comes from the participants themselves. So if they go down to the meal site and they get a meal, they give a donation for their meal of whatever they wish. And then about 20% comes from local cash, or in-kind match. So, for instance, the drivers here in town, I'm sure, are volunteers. So we count that as in-kind match. I believe that the city owns the building there, don't they?
I don't think the city owns it, I think the seniors own it.
Oh, the seniors own it, okay. Okay. In some towns, the city owns it, some they don't, I don't know. But basically, what we reimburse for the use of that facility doesn't come close to covering what it costs to run that building. We provide funding that's basically prorated, so we're not going to cover the utilities 24/7 for that building. We'll cover the portion of the utilities that can be attributed to the meal program. So that's kind of how we decide what the funding levels are. So, questions for me?
If an organization wished to take this on, do they have to have any type of tax entity or any type of something that shows somebody else something?
They're going to need a little something, yes. We prefer that it be a bona fide going concern, whether that be a service club or a religious organization or another nonprofit. It could even be a for-profit organization, as long as they are a going concern and they can demonstrate to us that they're a viable organization. Now, we have contracts currently with service organizations like a Rotary. We have contracts with a couple of churches. We have contracts with a couple of cities. We have contracts with a couple of hospitals. And we also have contracts with senior boards that own their own senior center. And they submit an application to us for funding. Most of these senior centers and the senior boards have been in operation for quite some time. And their designation could be profit or nonprofit, it doesn't matter, but they need to, if they are a nonprofit, they need to be willing to provide us their nonprofit status. Okay.
Could you give me a ballpark about how much time would be involved with this organization in overseeing this? Would it be a 5-hour-a-week obligation, or depends on if all the staff are already employed, those types of things?
There you go. It depends. Now, if things are running smoothly, the time commitment is pretty minimal for the overseeing organization. Most of the book work, taking the reservations, lining up the volunteers, reporting back to us the number of meals served and so forth, that's all taken care of on site. That's currently taken care of on site. Okay, so at that point it becomes this organization's responsibility to pay that employee, okay, and also to pay the bills. And currently the bills that are being paid are to central catering, number one, to the site personnel, number two, and then also any other type of little minor miscellaneous expenses that they might incur.
those financial salaries, they're set by someone that would be above this group, but do you set those types of salaries so they don't have to negotiate that type of
That's a
thing?
good question. Okay, so what we do is we allow, when we sign a contract with an organization, we will put together a budget together, okay, based on allowable expenses. Is it intended to cover everything? Probably not. There'll be some things that we're not going to cover 100% of. But we'll put together a budget together, and then we'll come up with a dollar amount. And the dollar amount is estimated primarily on the number of meals that are being served, and that's the big expense, especially here in Hawarden where it's catered from an individual. We do have cook kitchens where they employ a cook. If Hawarden wanted to go to a cook situation, they could, but the budgeted amount of money that they're going to get from us is set. Now, how they spend that is kind of up to them. So if they want to spend more on food and less on wages, they can do that. If they want to spend more on wages and less on food, they can do that. But the dollar amount that we contract with them is what it is, and we budget out all the dollars we have every year. Now, I can tell you one of the risks that is run is that if the meal site participation picks up, which we want it to, then the budgeted number of meals that we had set is probably too low. Now, I can tell you I've been with the program for 12 years, and in that 12 years, any meal site that has served more meals than we had anticipated, we've always covered it. So that's 12 years of experience, and typically somebody's going to underspend their contract with us. And so we just shift that money from one contract to another. And that's always happened in the 12 years that I've been here. Is it going to happen again next year? I can't guarantee that. But then, I can't guarantee that the federal government's going to pass the Older Americans Act again and 40% of our funding is still going to be there. I mean, it always has been. I mean, they've been funding the Older Americans Act for like 35 years now. But you know as well as I do that there's no guarantee on that. So, did that answer your question? I mean,
It does, yep. And would you allow us, I know that we are taped here, so hopefully those that watch this or news people will gather this. May we put some of this information on the city website to help find that right group or that?
Absolutely.
organization?
Now, we're going to be required, as a matter of course, to post that we're seeking applications for funding. Okay, so that will be posted in your local media. And so that anybody who wants to can apply for the funding. That doesn't mean they're going to get it. I mean, obviously, we're going to look at the applications pretty tightly. We like to know or have some people identified that we can hand them an application and we know that they're really interested rather than just taking, we're not going to have Sue's Beauty Shop,
Sure.
I mean, they have no experience with this. As far as technical expertise, the main technical expertise that's needed, I would say, is the bookkeeping function of it, which we have a lot of volunteer bookkeepers that are in charge of just one site. We have other bookkeepers that are doing the books for multiple sites. And in that case, typically, they'll be paid a stipend or something to do the bookwork. So typically that, paying the bills can be a once-a-month deal. But, they have to keep current on the payroll taxes, and also on filing with the IRS especially if they're a nonprofit, so keeping those things current. Once again, I mean, if you have the right people in place at the meal site, that's the bulk of it. And I can tell you from experience that, if you have a good person in place at the meal site, you might only have to go visit them once or twice a year. From my perspective, even out here where we're providing direct service. Now, if you have a lot of turnover, then that creates a problem. But once again, one of the reasons that we want local partners is that it's pretty hard for me to know people here in Hawarden. The only person I know is the site manager. That's it. Now I know Mike, and that's,
Sure.
well, and that goes for the same for recruiting volunteers. Okay, if you need volunteers, I have no connections here. It's impossible for me to have connections in 29 counties to recruit volunteers for every meal program. I just can't do it. But people that are local and are invested in the local community have a better idea of how to go about that in their community. You know, same thing with doing outreach. I mean, part of it, you know, our meal sites are dropping in participation right now statewide. That's not just ours, that's all the agencies. In fact, I would say nationwide, most of the meal programs like that are in a town like Hawarden, they're dropping in numbers. And there's a variety of reasons for that. I mean, there's demographics, obviously. You know, the people of my mother's generation are not quite ready for those services. They're not even interested in going to a senior center. So the average age at the senior center might be 80 years old. You know, people that are 65, they may or may not go. They may have no interest in going. But keeping that participation level up is very important to the program. And once again, it's easier to do outreach on a local level than it is from a macro level where I'm sitting in Fort Dodge. I can't impact participation here or in Rock Valley or Sibley or wherever from my office in Fort Dodge. I just can't do it.
Yep, understandable.
So, other questions?
If there are entities interested, is there a desired time frame you'd like to get applications for the July 1 timeframe?
We are going to post in the media fairly soon here. In fact, I would anticipate probably within the first 2 weeks of March, and the applications will be due back to us sometime in April. Okay, I brought a copy of the application with me. I also brought a sample copy of our contract. Okay, if somebody wants to apply and it looks like they're truly interested, we will sit down with them and help them fill out that application. I have no problem with that. When you first look at it, it looks daunting. It really isn't. It's pretty simple. You know, so if we don't get any response to that, we'll keep trying. But the thing is, we had to start someplace. We started with the seniors. We gave them first go at it. You know, if they wanted to help us find somebody, and I know they're on the lookout too. And, you know, that's why I'm here today. You know, you all have your finger on the pulse of this community. I don't. And I'm hoping that you can lead us in the right direction or help us beat the bushes for that. It's an extremely important program to the seniors in this community.
Very much so.
And I can tell you particularly that home-delivered meal route, you know, keeping those people in their home, in your community, is so much better for them than them being institutionalized. And some of them are just like, they lose that Meals on Wheels program, the next step for them is the nursing home.
Right.
So, other questions for me? And I guess my question to you is, you know, can you help us out? You know, can you help us, can you beat the bushes and help us identify some potential partners? And if I need to come talk to more people, if I need to come talk to a service group, the ministerial association, whomever, I'm willing to do that, and I know Sandy is too. So you just need to let us know.
We certainly will. We certainly thank you and Sandy for being with us tonight to promote this. And
yeah, and you know, I want to thank you guys, and I want to thank the community of Hawarden. I mean, you guys have supported this program pretty well. I mean, it's been running for quite a number of years, and it takes a community effort to do it.
we got some great volunteers here.
Exactly, and it would fall apart without them.
Exactly.
So, I'm going to leave you a copy of the application and a sample, so if you can make copies of it, do whatever you want. If you want to hand it to somebody, say, hey, this is the application, this is what's involved with it. You all have my card, so you can give us a ring or shoot me an email. Okay, and I want to thank you for your time.
Thanks, Robert.
Good.
Sandy. Safe journeys on the way home.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much. We'll move on to agenda item number 4. This is a resolution 2019-03, adopting a final proposed draft budget for publication and ordering a notice of the public hearing on the proposed final budget estimates for fiscal year 2019-2020. Public hearing, if this passes, would be held March 13th. Any other information you'd like to give to this mic?
No, we just have to approve the budget at the 13th meeting and get it certified with the county by the 15th. So we're right on schedule. We've gone over all the budgets. There haven't been a lot of questions. So it's just been an interesting process, and it's just one more step.
So moved.
There's a motion by Travis. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by John. This is for Resolution 2019-03. With the motion and a second, I ask for a roll call vote, please.
Feldhacker.
Aye.
Clucky.
Aye.
Olson.
Aye.
On a 3-0 roll call vote, Resolution 2019-03 passes. Agenda item number 5. This would be a Resolution 2019-04, setting a date of public hearing on the Urban Renewal Plan Amendment. Might give us a little background with that, please.
This is a plan to update our urban renewal plan to include the downtown revitalization we're looking at doing. This allows us to do an internal loan of up to $900,000 for the downtown. We're hoping it's quite a bit under that, but according to our bond attorney, we should make it higher just in case something comes in and we want to make sure we have enough money. And also it will allow us to certify debt to use TIF dollars over the next 5 years towards the economic development and marketing position. At that end of that 5 years, we can renew it and go for another 5, doing the same process, but they felt that normally these are done in 5-year increments.
Any questions about this from council? This public hearing then would be held March 27th, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Is there a motion for Resolution 2019-04?
So moved.
Moved by Travis. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Rob. With the motion and a second, I call for the roll call vote for Resolution 2019-04.
Olson.
Aye.
Clucky.
Aye.
Feldhacker.
Aye.
On a 3-0 roll call vote, Resolution 2019-04 passes. Item number 6, the consent agenda is a request from the clubhouse for a liquor license transfer on Saturday, March 23rd. Also, a request from Laverne Supermarket for a renewal of Class C beer, Class B wine permit, off-premise sales of beer, wine with Sunday sales. Is there a motion for the consent agenda?
So move.
Moved by John. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Travis. All in favor then of the consent agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That passes 3-0. Our next regular stated meeting will be held Wednesday, March the 13th, 2019. Again, we thank Robert and Sandy for their presentation from Elder Bridge. We need to give that some good consideration. I would entertain a motion for adjournment, please.
So
Moved by Rob. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by John. All in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thanks again for your presence. City Council's adjourned.